I'm going to try to describe in pictures and words the ontological argument, Descartes' argument in the fifth meditation. One way to understand it anyway is to think about triangles and gods. As a lot of you all said, it seems to make not much sense at all that there could be any relation between the two. Here's first of all how they might be related. Right here I have a triangle and God. Now, as far as it goes, they're just both words. We think, well, God's very different than a triangle, and that's surely the idea here. But they're similar in that they are concepts. You can't really draw a picture of God, but triangle, that's not what a triangle is. That's an example of a triangle. Right? We can draw lots of different triangles, different ways. So what this word triangle is or means is something that goes far beyond all these different instances. As I say in the comments, it's what allows us to tell that, you know, when I draw this, that this is not a triangle, right? That when I draw this, it is not a triangle. I have this idea or concept. We can put it in words and some other words, but still these words ultimately rely on concepts. We say a three-sided figure. Okay, so we can put sort of this in other words, three-sided. And if we want to be technical, planar. Okay, I'm not going to go into the technical things here. Figure. Okay, God, we can put in other words. Perfect being. Going back anyway, these are both things that are greater than any particular instance or example. It's instead a concept. Now, the reason this matters is that they are not things we can draw out or have an example of. They're not sensory, and they're not imagined either. One thing Descartes is really keen on pointing out is that, yeah, we can imagine a massive amount of triangles, but we can't imagine every possible triangle. And this shows that the idea of a triangle, that what this word, right, is referring to is not sensory or imaginary at its root. So too over here. Okay, now, so if we have this concept, this idea, it's an innate idea is how he puts it. It's not some image or idea that some guy made up. If it was some image or idea some guy, some woman, some kid, whatever, made up, then we wouldn't be able to prove anything about it. We wouldn't be able to prove its properties, what things it must or must not have. But as a matter of fact, with both these, we can potentially prove properties. With a triangle, his example is that the angles add up to 2 right angles. Okay? Sorry. I'm not going to be able to change that right. 2 right angles. Okay, also known as a straight line. It's the latter that we could prove. I want to do a quick proof here, and then we'll talk about how it relates to God. Okay, so let's imagine a triangle. Any triangle, doesn't matter what it is. Let's say it looks sort of funny shaped like this. Okay. The way we can prove that the angles add up to a straight line goes like this. We draw, all right, let's say this triangle is ABC. We draw a line parallel to line segment BC. Okay, so we'll try to draw that in here. Okay, I'm just using rudimentary marks like I learned when I took geometry a long time ago. That's indicating those two lines are parallel. Of course, it's not drawn to scale or perfectly. We draw that line. Now, what we can do is I can call this angle right here angle 1, this angle right here angle 2, and this angle angle 3. Now, because these lines are parallel, we can note the following facts. Angle 3 is the same as angle C. All right, why is that? We can continue drawing this line. Think about, and I don't have a time for a full explanation, of course, parallel lines, but angle C and angle 3, okay? These are what are called alternate interior angles. And if you think about lines truly being parallel in the same plane and always the same distance apart, when a line cuts across them, which is called a transversal, the alternate interior angles will always be the same. Picture it in general. We have two parallel lines. A line cuts across it. This angle and this angle are alternate interior. They will always be the same. So too are these two angles, which we might note differently like that. Okay, so angle 3 and angle C are the same. Same thing applies to angle 1 and angle B. Angle 1 is the same as angle B. Now, that, we put it together, makes a surprising fact, right? We know that angle, just by the picture, angle 1 plus angle 2 plus angle 3 is equal to 180 degrees, or straight line. It just is a straight line as pictured. But angle 1, we've just said, is the same as angle B. Angle 2 is angle A, and angle 3 is angle C. So we get that the three angles of the triangle equal 180 degrees, or a straight line. That's what we did is perfectly general. We can always draw a parallel line to any given side of a triangle and do the same proof. And every triangle, its angles must add up to, by these geometric properties, by this geometric proof, 180 degrees. All right, now you see, again, still, how are we going to do this with God? All right, well, we have this concept of a perfect being. And a perfect being, we can think about what that means, what that concept is, and come up with certain characteristics. And what we can say is, for example, that being a perfect being implies or says that everything's known. So a perfect being knows everything. We could say perfect being is perfectly good. And this is the tricky one, but what Descartes says is we can also conclude that a perfect being exists, that is, exists formally or outside of the mind, and not merely in the mind. How does that go? Let me just quickly try a little formula here. We got God, okay, again, what that concept means is greater than, I'll draw some person here, and in their head, if you will, right? We have this idea, trying to draw the image of an idea in someone's mind of God. Now, God as actually existing, as opposed to merely being an idea, would be more, would be greater. And so, since God is perfect, is the idea, as great as possible, God has to exist outside of the mind. That's the idea anyway.